Srinivas? Hello?
Hi,
Hel-
Sridhar. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Who is this?
This is Ram Babu.
Oh, Rama. Okay, because your mail ID is displayed as Srinivas. Okay, fine. Fine, Rama. Fine.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Right. So
Srinivas,
in the
Srinivas,
last, yeah. So in
Srinivas,
the last,
download. Sorry,
Srinivas?
sir. Srinivas downloaded this one. What is
Acha,
called
acha. Okay. No
Go to
problem.
meeting.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Mute your speakers. Yeah. So in the last class, we have seen triggers, how to create the triggers, how to drop the triggers, how to disable, enable the triggers, how to implement what referential integrity using what triggers without creating the foreign key relationship. Okay. Now let us go for what how to create procedures. So let us see that. So far what we are doing is we are writing independent SQL statements. So what is a procedure? A procedure is a block of statements. Okay, it's a set of statements which is defined only once but can be called any number of what times. Just like we have subroutines and function models in Abap. Same thing here we have what procedures. Okay, so once a procedure is created in the hana database, we can call that procedure from different procedures. We can consume that procedures from what Abap layer also. Okay, so first let me connect to the hana studio. Right. There is a problem in connecting to HANA database. Let me check. If it is connected, we'll discuss the process. Otherwise, we'll go for some theoretical concept for today. Let me check. I'll right click on the instance. Good. Yeah, it is connected. Just hold on.
This conference will now be recorded.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. So let's see this process. So today we'll understand. We are able to connect to HANA database. So we'll see how to create the procedures and how to just call the process. Later on, we'll see how to consume it from what Abap report. Okay. So for the timing, just understand a procedure is like what? It's like a subroutine or a function model in our Abap. Once we create a subroutine or function model, we can call it what? Any number of times. It increases what? Reusability. So why do we go for procedures? If you want to execute the same set of SQL statements, okay, same set of SQL statements at multiple places, so instead of executing them independently, we can put them inside a block. We can put them inside a block. That block we nothing but call as what? A procedure. Okay. And once it is stored in the procedure, I can call it what? Any number of times from anywhere. Anywhere in the sense, one procedure can call another procedure. Okay, I can call that procedure from what Abap report. Okay, whatever it is. Okay. So for the time being, we'll focus only on the HANA database. We'll see how to create the procedure and how to call the procedure from what on our database itself. Okay, so first let us start with this very simple example. So just like subroutine or just like a function model, a procedure can be created either with parameter or what without parameters. We have subroutines and function model. We can create them without parameters also. Here also I can create the procedures without any parameters or with parameters. So if you see here, this is your schema, gens of SQL. First of all, let me open the SQL console. Done. I'll set the schema for the current session. Right, schema is what? Set. Done. Now under the schema gens of SQL, so you can observe here we have what procedures. So we have seen so far what tables, and we have seen what triggers, and we have seen what sequence. Okay, right. Now let us go for procedures. So if I expand this procedures here, under procedures you can see we have table types. We will be seeing table types also. This table type is similar to the table type which we create in our what Abap dictionary, that is in SC11. We create the table type. A table type is nothing but what? It is an internal table structure. It is an internal table structure created at what? Database level. Here also same thing. Okay, so we'll be using this later on. So as of now you can see my schema doesn't have any procedures. So let us simply create a procedure. So anyway we have set the schema then software skills. I'll create the procedure. So I'll say create procedure. Okay, where I am creating this procedure in the SQL console, but this is not the standard way of creating the procedure. Okay, if you generally what are the procedure we create, we should able to consume it from what Abap layer. So if you want to consume it in the Abap layer, we need to follow certain guidelines. Okay, we need to follow the guidelines. Okay, like we need to create something called as package. We must store our procedure inside the package, and apart from that your procedure should be stored in a standard schema called as sys underscore big. Sys underscore big, then only we can consume it from what Abap report. So as of today our agenda is not to consume it from what Abap report. I want to consume it directly from the HANA database. So here today we are going to understand just the syntax of the procedure, but this is not the standard way of creating the procedure. This is not the appropriate place where we create the procedure. So I'll just give the procedure name, create procedure. Let me give the procedure name as something, say I something. Okay, say I, then as begin and what end. So between begin and end, okay, just like in the trigger also we use this begin and end. Here also we'll be creating the procedure. We'll create the body, we'll create the logic for the procedure between what begin and what end. So I just want to print some message kind of thing. So I'll say select welcome to what HANA procedures. Welcome to HANA procedures from dummy. So already I think I discussed about this dummy. Dummy is a table which doesn't exist physically. It is going to hold the values in the runtime temporarily. Okay, it's a temporary table which gets created in the runtime. So I'm just trying to create the procedure. What is the business logic of my procedure? I'm just trying to say what? Select welcome to so and so from dummy. So my expected result is what? Whenever we call the procedure, I should get the message what? Welcome to HANA procedure. So let me execute this. How do we execute? Just select the block as it is. So what is this here basically? It's a procedure without what? Parameters. Procedure without parameters. So let me execute F8. Yeah, I can see at the bottom the procedure got created. If I refresh this procedure section in my schema gens of SQL, I'll right click on this, I'll say refresh. Yeah, you can see one procedure got created. What is this? Say I. Now what is our agenda? We need to call the procedure. So how do you call a subroutine? We use something perform keyword. How do you call a function model? Call function. How do you call a method? Call method. Similarly, to call the procedures directly from the SQL console, just we use a statement what call. Just should call. What is the procedure name? Say I. That's all. Call say I. Let me execute. I'll say F8. Done. So I got the result as what? Welcome to HANA procedures. clear. So just we created a simple procedure and we are calling the procedure from the SQL console. So inside this procedure, we can also declare what? Variables. Okay, so let me just create one more procedure. Create procedure. I'll give the procedure name as something procedure what? One. Okay, create procedure one. I'll say as begin. Okay, as begin. I want to declare an integer. How do you declare? Already, I think we have covered this in the what triggers. Declare some variable name. Okay, I'll give the variable name as something v underscore x. I'll give it as what integer. Done. Now inside this variable, I'll try to assign some data. V underscore x equal 10. I want to print the value of that v underscore x. So I'll say select. Acha. In the earlier execution, when I call the procedure, what is the result I got? Welcome to hana procedures. If you observe this, the column heading also I got the same thing now. I got the column heading also, but welcome to hana procedures. So here what I'll do is select what is the variable name v underscore x. Select v underscore x. I want to give some alias. So as I'll just give the variable, I'll give the heading as something my variable from what is that? Dummy, from dummy. That's it. So what is the change in this procedure? I'm declaring a variable. Okay, I'm declaring a variable and then I'm assigning some data to the variable. I'm trying to print the value of that variable. Let me execute. I'll say fetch. The procedure got created. I'll try to call. Call what is the procedure name? Procedure 1. Call is a keyword here. Call procedure 1. Execute. Yes, I got the result as what 10. What is the column output alias heading I got there? My variable. Understood? So like this we can change the column heading in the output. Okay, done. I can do some arithmetic operations also. Here I'm just declaring the variable. I'm assigning the data. I'm printing the data. I can do what? Arithmetic operations. Means let me copy this. Create procedure. I'll give the procedure name as something procedure 2 as begin. I'll declare one variable. Yeah, v underscore what? Result integer. I'll say v underscore result is equal to. Okay, I'll just directly store some data. I'm doing some calculation. 100 plus 200. 100 plus 200. Okay, I'm doing some calculation. Then I'll say here select v underscore res. Okay, I'll give some meaningful heading. I'll give it as what? Something I can give it in double quotes also. As result, my variable from dummy. Done. That's all. So create procedure name. So what I did here, I declared a variable. I'm doing some calculation. Okay, I'm directly doing the arithmetic operation without using any variable. So let's see whether it'll accept or not. F8. Yes, the procedure got created. I'll try to call that procedure. Call procedure to execute. Yes, I got the result as something what 300. So what is the meaning? I can directly do the calculation. Okay. So far what you have done, we have created the procedure without any parameters. So my requirement now is I want to pass parameters to what this particular procedure. Just like how do you pass parameters to subroutines? We use some keywords like what using keyword, what else using keyword, what else tables keyword, like that. If you take subroutines, sorry, if you take function models, we have import, export, changing table. Similarly here also, in case of this hana database procedures also, we can categorize the parameters into three types. We can categorize the parameters in three types. One is in parameter, out parameter, in parameter, out parameter, and in out parameter. You can understand in parameter like a import parameter in function model, out parameter like a export parameter in function model, and in out parameter is like a changing parameter in what function model. Changing parameter. Okay, so what are my requirement here? I want to create a simple procedure which has to take two integers as parameters. I can pass normal data types as parameters, or I can refer to the database objects, means I can refer to a view, I can refer to a database table, I can refer to a what table type, I can refer to all those things. So to begin with, I want to refer to what? Integer. Okay, I want to refer to the integer. So here I'll say, yeah, here I'll create the procedure, create procedure. I'll give the procedure name as what? Procedure 3. Okay, so what is my requirement? I want to pass two parameters. So directly I can do it here, but to increase the readability, I am putting in the next line. So here I'll say in. In indicates what? Input parameter. Okay, input parameter. Int x integer, and then what? In y what? Integer. Is my voice is clear to everyone? Hello? Is my voice is clear or any disturbance? Others, Ashutosh, is my voice is clear? Ashutosh and Rambabu?
Yes, Sridhar, your voice is very clear for me.
Vijay, do one thing. You re-log in, because if it is the case, it should be same for everyone. But I think problem from your end, no, just re-log in. Re-log in. I think the problem will be rectified. Vijay, re-log in.
Might be there is a background sound like sweeping, outside sweeping.
No, nothing is there.
A small background sound is noise is coming, but anyway, not disturbance. Yeah, yeah.
Is it fine now? Is it fine now, Vijay?
Yes, 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 Sridhar, now fine.
Okay. Yeah, let me know if any disturbance is there. Okay. So, in x integer, input y integer, done. So I'm passing two parameters here. Yeah. Here I'll say as begin. I want to perform some calculations. I require one variable. I'll give a variable name as something v underscore z integer. Okay, v underscore z integer. Then I'll say v underscore z is equal to, what is that parameter? X plus y. So I'll say here x plus y. Done. I want to print the value of this v underscore z. So I'll say select what? V underscore z as something what? Sum. Okay, from dummy. End for begin is what? End. Okay, so I'm trying to create the procedure with the two input parameters of type what? Integer. They are very simple, but just we are trying to understand the signature. So when I say f8, the procedure got created. Let me try to call that. Call procedure 3. Okay, call procedure 3 done. So let's see what happens. Call procedure 3. When I execute them, when I say f8, so if you see the signature of the procedure, it has got two parameters. So if you take subroutine also, subroutine parameters are always optional. Sorry, subroutine parameters are always mandatory. Subroutine parameters are always mandatory. We don't have any option to make them as optional. Similarly, here also the procedure parameters are always what? Mandatory. So when I'm trying to call the procedure, I'm not passing the values. I'm not passing the values for what? Our uh, parameters of the procedure. So let's see what happens. So when I execute that, when I say f8, when I say f8, yeah, what is the error I got? Wrong number, wrong number or types of parameters in what? Call. X is not bound. X is not bound. I'll do one thing. So there are two input parameters. I'm not passing. So this is gives what? Fails to what? Call procedure as as what? Uh, as input parameter values are not passed. Okay, so let me try to call again. Call procedure 3. Out of two parameters, I'll try to give value only for what? Only for one parameter. So I'm giving what 10 here. So this also should give me what error. Actually, if you observe the error earlier, it is thinking of only about the first parameter. It is saying that x is not bound. Now I'm trying to pass the value for that. So when I execute, here also I should get an error. Yeah, I got similar error. What is that now? Y is not bound. So here also it is failing to call the procedure. Fails to call the procedure as only what? As only one input parameter value is for value is passed. Done. So what is the understanding now? The procedure parameters are always what? Mandatory. Call procedure 4. Okay, so I'll give something 10 and 20. Done. I'll execute that. So when I say, oh, I'm sorry. Invalid name of function or procedure. What is the procedure name? Procedure 3, na? So it should procedure 3. Done. Execute. Yeah, I got the result. What? Sum is what? 30. So the understanding here is the procedure parameters are always mandatory. I'll do a small change. See that change here. I'll just try to recreate the similar type of procedure. Here I'll do one thing. I'm not specifying the category of the parameter. Means I'm not specifying whether it is input parameter or output parameter or in-out parameter. So what I did here, I said x int, input parameter y int, done. Rest of thing is what? Same. So let's see what happens. What is the procedure name? Procedure 4, because procedure 3 is already available. So I'm pressing procedure 4, done. Execute, done. The procedure is successfully created. So even if you don't specify the category of the parameter, that is whether it is input, output, or in-out parameter, it is still working. Let me try to call it now. Call procedure 4. Okay, I'll see something 34 and what 20. Procedure 4. Execute this. Yes, I got the result. What? 54. Working fine. So what is the meaning? I'm able to pass the what? I'm able to pass the parameter. So the understanding is what? The understanding is by default the parameter category is what? Input parameter. I can also call in a slightly different way. Suppose here, how many parameters the processor is expecting? Two parameters. Or here only if you see, here it is expecting two parameters. I'll say here. So understanding is 10 is passed to x, 20 is passed to y. So I'll say call, try to understand this, procedure 3. Okay, here I can say like this. What are the two parameters? X and y. No? So first I'll try to pass the value of y. I'll say y as something 35, and then I'll try to pass the value of what? X. So what is the advantage of this? I need not pass the parameter values in sequence. I can pass in any sequence, but you have to mention the parameter name. Okay, so this also should work fine. Let me check. F8. Yes, I got what? 56. Understood. So I can specify the parameter name also. Just like when you're calling the function model, you'll specify the parameter name. Here also same thing. Done. Okay, so far what you have seen here, we understood that by default the parameter type is what? Parameter category is what? Input parameter. Okay. Now what I want is I want to create a procedure which will take some input parameters and return the values. So if you take a C language or C++ or Java, there we have functions. In C, C++, Java, a function can return only one value. How do we return the value there? By using what? Return keyword. If you take C, C++, we can return only one value. In case of Java, we don't call them as functions, we call them as methods. There also we can return only what? One value, and that is done by using what? Return keyword. It is done by using return keyword. In if you take our subroutines, but in C, C++ Java we can return only one value. But if you take our Abap context, if you take our subroutines, or if you take our function models or methods, I can have any number of return values. Similarly, here also in the HANA database also, A procedure also can return what any number of values. But one thing we need to understand is if you take our function model, export parameters in case of function model, export parameters are always optional. Export parameters are always optional. Means what is the meaning? When you are calling that function model, it is developer choice whether to import that exported value or ignore that particular exported value. I repeat, in case of our Abap function models, export parameters are always optional. Means when you are calling that function model, it is our choice whether you want to receive that return value, that is whether you want to import that return value or ignore that particular return value. But whereas in case of HANA database, the output parameters are mandatory. Compulsory, we need to receive it. Just like in C, C++, Java, if you are returning any value from a function or method, compulsorily we have to receive it. Similarly, in HANA database process also, compulsorily we need to receive the output parameters. So what is my agenda here? I want to create a procedure which will have what two parameters, two input parameters and two output parameters. Okay, so let me just copy this. Yeah, create procedure. I'll give the procedure name as something procedure 5. Okay, create procedure 5. Okay, here let me give it as input parameter in x integer, in y integer, and what you want here. A comma. I'll say what is that? Yeah, out. I'll give the parameter name as something r1 int and out R2 int. So what is the signature of my procedure? It has got two input parameters and two output parameters. Okay. Then here I don't require any variables here. I'll simply say, yeah, R1 is equal to what is the input parameter x plus y. R1 equal to x plus y. R2 is equal to also something x minus y. So that's all. This is the business logic of a procedure. Earlier, since we didn't add any output parameters, I declared a separate variable and I stored that value result calculation in that particular variable. Here I'm directly storing the calculation in my output parameters. So when I execute, when I say F8, done, the procedure is created. Let me try to consume this procedure. I'm going to say call this procedure. So I'll also call what is the procedure name procedure 5. What is the overall number of parameters from a procedure? 4 parameters. But I'll try to pass only 2 parameters. I'll say something 20 comma 10. Okay, 20 comma 10. When I execute that, when I say F8, yes, good, I got another wrong number or types of parameters in the call. R1 is what? Not bound. Hmm. R1 is not bound. Okay, so what is the meaning? Output parameters compulsorily we need to receive it. Otherwise, it is giving what? Error. So let me try to call now as output parameters are not bounded. As output parameters are not bounded. So here I'll say procedure 5. Call procedure 5. I'll try to pass some data 20 comma 50. Okay, try to understand. Yeah, procedure 500, yeah, call procedure. I'll say something 30 comma 10. Here I'll use two placeholders. Since we have two output parameters, I must give a two placeholders. These are called as placeholders. So what is the meaning? What are the output parameters are there? Those values are written to this particular placeholders. Let me execute them. And I say F8. Yeah, I got what? Output parameter 1 is what? 40. Output parameters 2 is what? 20. Okay, so I can call like this, or I can specify the parameter names also. Means I can say call procedure 5, call procedure 5. There are two input parameters x and y. So as I told you, I need not pass the parameters in the same sequence. So here first I want to pass the value of y. So I'll say y as something 40. Okay, something y as 40, and x I'll pass it as something 20. Okay, And what are my output parameters? Here I can give placeholders, or I can say R1 implies what? The placeholder, comma, R2 implies what? The placeholder. That's all. Okay, let me try to call F8. Yes, I got the result. 60 and what? Minus 20. Working fine. So the understanding is what? Compulsorily we need to receive the output parameters. If you don't receive, you will get what? The syntax error. Suppose here I'll say call procedure 5, y implies 40, x implies 20. I'll just say like this. Let me check whether this is supported. I don't think it is supported. I'm saying what? R1, comma, R2 implies what? But R1 is not having any placeholder to receive the value. I'm expecting an error. When I say F8, yeah, I got an error. What is the error here? SQL syntax, incorrect syntax near comma. So compulsory, I need to give the what? This thing. So this is giving me what? Syntax error. Right. So far what I did, I'm just declaring some variables, I'm storing some numbers, and or I'm passing some parameters. Okay. What I can do inside my procedure, I can write the select query to fetch the data from our tables also. Suppose here, so we have created some procedures, some 5 procedures we have created. Procedure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's another procedure I created, say I. Done. So what is the requirement now? Do we have any tables in our schema? Yeah, we have some tables like what? EMP. Okay, I want to get the data from what? EMP table. Do you have any data in this table? Let me show open data preview. Yeah, we have the data in this. So I want to get the data from this particular table, but I want to write that logic inside a procedure. So how do we do it? Very simple. Create procedure. I'll give the procedure name as something procedure 6. Create procedure 6 as begin. Okay, as begin. Yeah, I'll directly say select how many columns are there. There are only 2 columns are there. So I'll just simply say select start from what is the table name? EMP. Select start from EMP. So end. Let me execute the procedure. I'll say fetch. Yes, the procedure got successfully created. Let me try to call that. I'll say call procedure 6. Call procedure 6. Let me execute. I'll say fetch. Yes, I got the result. I got the result 1 2 7. Done. Working fine. Okay. So as of now, we are directly just writing the select query. Whatever the data my select statement is returning, that data got displayed in my result. Okay. I can capture this result. I can capture this result in a what? Variable kind of thing. Just like if you take our normal Abap reporting, what you will do, what are the data which we fetch from the database, we put it in an internal table. Okay. And then we'll loop the internal table, or we'll do some sort of processing on the internal table. So what I'll do here is similar type of procedure. Create procedure. I'll give the procedure name as something procedure 7. Okay, here I'll say the only change I'll give it as, yeah, itab. Something itab is equal to what? Select star from EMP. So what is my expectation here? The data returned by the select query will come and sit in which variable? Itab. Let me execute that. Yes, so I got the result. So you can see the advantage here. I have not declared the structure of the itab. I have not declared the structure of the itab. Am I clear? I have not declared the structure of the item. Okay, and let me try to call this procedure. I'll say call. What is the procedure name? Procedure 7. Call procedure 7. Done. Execute this F8. Yeah, so you can see here, I didn't got any data because what you are doing here in the earlier case, you are simply saying select. So it has written some data. But here the data written with the select query, we are capturing inside what? A local variable, a local variable. What is that local variable? Itab. Okay, and when I'm calling the procedure, I'm not getting any result. Okay, I'm not getting the result. So what is the meaning? I must query the data from that particular itab. So what is the change I'll do? I'll keep this as it is. So in this case, I'm not getting any result. When I say fit, Nothing I'm getting. The procedure is called, but there is no statement. We are not getting any data. So what is the change I have to do? Create procedure. What is the procedure name? Procedure 8. Okay, create procedure name as begin. As begin. I tab is equal to, yes, select star from what? EMP. Okay, select star from EMP. And here I'll say, try to understand. Star from, select star from, also what? I tab. Select star from I tab. Yeah, I'm expecting an error. Let's see what happens. Select star from I tab. Okay, so earlier up to this is fine, but what is the change I did? I said select start from my tab. So when I execute this, I'm expecting an error. Let me check. F8. Yes, I got an error. Good. What is the error I got? See, create procedure so and so as begin either so and so done. Okay. Invalid table name could not find a table or a view I tab in the schema or gens of SQL. Okay, line 5, column 18. So I have selected this block now. In this block, what is the line 5? The select star from I tab only now. So line 5, column 18. Am I clear? So somewhere here. Okay, column 18. Let's you can see on the status bar 92 colon 18. Okay, so what is error? What is that it is saying? Could not find a table or a view I tab in the schema. So far we are just giving the table name like this. So what is happening? It is checking for the table, it is checking for the view. If it is not there, it is giving what? Error. So what I have to do? I need to tell the HANA database that this is not a database object. It is not a database object. So don't search that in the schema. It is a local internal table kind of thing. Na? So what is the change I have to do is, okay, let me keep this as it is for your reference. Okay, so the change you need to do is, when you're referring to the local variables, when you're referring to the local internal tables, when you're referring to the local internal tables in the select query inside a procedure, I need to use this column. Okay, so let me check it now. I'll say F8. Yes, the procedure got clear. What is the only change? Just you have to prefix it what? Column. Okay, and rest of thing is same. What is this call? What is the procedure name? Call procedure 8. Done. Execute this F8. Yes, I got the result what? Employee number and what? Employee. So what you are trying to understand here is, we can write the select queries in my procedure and I can store the data inside what? I tab. Once the data is stored in the I tab, I mean to say the local internal table, I can process this particular internal table. So how to do that? We'll be seeing in the further examples when we go to what is that? Cursors concept, cursors, for loop. We have different types of looping statements. All those things will be using inside our procedure. One more change I can do here. This I tab I have not declared it priorly. Okay, but what is my requirement is, here we are fetching the data from the table and storing that in the internal table. Directly we are displaying the data from the internal table. My requirement is, I want to return this data. Whatever the data it is returning, I want to capture this in a variable at the time of calling. I want to capture this data in a variable. I'm going to say the internal table so that I can process the internal table from wherever I calling, wherever I call. So what is the change I'll do? Just see this. Earlier, ITAB have not done any prior declaration. Now I'll say, see the change. Create procedure. I'll give a procedure name of procedure 9. Procedure 9. What is the change I'll do? I'll say out ITAB. This internal table, I want to refer to my database table. What is my database table name here? EMP. Yeah? Done. Out ITAB EMP. Okay. So what the HANA database will do now? It will check whether any table is available with this name. If the table is not available, it will check any view is there or not. If the view is not there, it will check whether any table type is available. So we'll be seeing all those scenarios. As of now, anyway, we have a table with the name what? EMP. Done. Done. So I'm not selecting here. remove this. So let's see whether this works or not. F8. Yes, the process is successfully created. Process is successfully created. Let me try to consume this procedure. Call procedure 9. Call procedure 9. That's all. Okay. So I'm expecting an error because just now we understood that in HANA database, output parameters are mandatory. Compulsory, we need to receive it. We need to bound it. I mean to say we need to bind it. Okay. But we are not binding it here. So I'm expecting an error here. So when I execute, when I say F8, good. What is the error I got? Wrong number of types of parameters in the call. itab is not bound. So compulsory you have to receive it, bound it. So how do you do it? Call procedure. I'll give the procedure name is procedure 9. I'll just use a placeholder. Question mark you have to say. Done. F8, is it working? Yes, I got the data. Okay. Or else I can say, so this is giving me what? Error as out parameter itab is not bound. Okay, so here I'll say call procedure 9, call procedure 9. What is the output parameter name? Itab. So itab implies this placeholder. Done. Let me check it. F8. Done. Okay, working fine. I'll do a small change. Yeah, I'll say something yum tab. I'm expecting an error. I'm expecting an error. So if you take our subroutines, what are the parameters we pass at the time of calling? We call them as the actual parameters. What are the parameters we specify as part of subroutine definition? We call them as formal parameters. So if you take our subroutine context, the actual parameter names and formal parameter names can be same or it can be what? Different. Understood? The actual parameter name or the formal parameter name can be same or it can be what? Different. In the sense, I can do like this now. Suppose here, okay, assume that in my program I declare some two variables x and y, for example. Okay, then what I'll do here, I'll say perform ABC using what? X and Y. These are actual parameters. How to define? We'll say form, yeah, form ABC using, I can say here X and Y, I can say X and Y, or I can give some other name. Means here I can give what? M and what? N, no problem. So the actual parameter name and the formal parameter name can be same or different. But whereas here I am giving M tab implies so and so. I'm expecting an error. When I say execute, yes. What is that error I got? Wrong number of times not found. M tab not found in the parameter definition. So compulsory you have to give the same parameter name. So this also is giving me what? Error. As parameter M tab not found. Understood. So here I'm not doing any manipulations. Just we are trying to understand the input parameter, output parameter, all those things. Okay. Can I use input output parameter here? Input parameter anyhow we'll see that going forward. Suppose here I'll say create procedure. I'll give the procedure name as something 10. I'll give the parameter names here in x integer. Okay. I'll say in out. Let's see whether this syntax is supported. In out y I'll give it as what? Integer. Here I'll say y equal to x plus y. Y equal to x plus y. Okay. Let me try to create this f8. The procedure is what? Successfully create. Okay. Now I'll try to call the procedure. Call, what is the procedure name? Procedure 10. Okay. Call procedure 10. Okay. Call procedure 10. I'll pass something 10 comma 20. I'll pass 10 comma 20. So when I execute, yes, good. What is the error I got? Call procedure 10. Expression cannot be used as an assignment. Expression cannot be used as an assignment. 10 comma 20 I'm passing, but we are getting what error? Line 1, column 18, here only. Anyway, we have selected only this one. So when I'm executing, I got other expression cannot be used in assignment target. Okay. So can I modify the syntax here? I'll say call procedure 10. Let me check like this. I'll say, what is that? X implies what? Sorry, X implies 10. I'll say Y implies 20. But will it accept this? No, I got the similar error. What Y implies 20. But when you execute the procedure, is it created here? F8. Yes, what is the error I got now? Cannot use duplicate name. Already the procedure is created. So if I refresh here, one second. Hello? No, already I sent a mail. I checked it. నేను లూప్లో పెట్టాను లూప్లో పెట్టాను ఇది బౌన్స్ అవుతుంది సో అవుట్లుక్ అవుట్లుక్ దాన్ని కన్ఫ్యూజ్ చేశాను అవుట్లుక్ ఆఫీస్ అడిగే చెక్ బౌన్స్ అయింది బౌన్స్ అయితే మళ్ళీ క్లాస్లో ఉన్నా ఒక 5 నిమిషాలు అయిపోతుంది అయిపోయింది మొబైల్లో కూడా చెక్ చేస్తాను జీమెయిల్ ఒక్క నిమిషం లైన్ కూడా చెప్తాను చూస్తాను చూస్తాను ఒక్క నిమిషం లైన్ అది పబ్లిష్ చెక్ చేయ ఒకసారి చెక్ చేసి మళ్ళీ మెయిల్ ఓపెన్ చేస్తాను 2 మినిట్స్లో పెడతాను Okay. In Outlook open here. Then so the class log 2 minutes office. I feel 2 minutes. Sorry, where we are, what you are discussing, what you are discussing. Acha. So we are unable to create this procedure. No, no, we have created the procedure. So if you are executing again, obviously you'll get an error. Na? So in a refresh, where is that? Yeah, what is the procedure 10? So procedure 10 is actually created. So if I double click on this, it is opening. Yeah, create procedure name in X in out Y integer. Okay. So now can anyone tell me how do you call this procedure? Yes, anyone? From the SQL console. Yes, from a Abap report level, there's a different way to call it. Forget about that. Can anyone tell me how do you call it from a what SQL console? Yes, anyone? Sandeep, Kishore, Rambabu. When I'm doing like this, cannot use duplicate. Where is that? Sorry, where is that? Where is that? Yeah, expression cannot be used as assignment target. So if I pass only one value, obviously, so earlier we understood that input parameters, output parameters are mandatory. So here I'm supplying the value for only the input parameter. So when I execute, what happened? I got an error. Y is not bound. So can anyone tell me how do we go about this? Yes. Yeah, is my voice is audible to everyone? Hello? 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 Is my voice is audible? Can anyone respond? Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, so tell me how do you call it? Earlier also I gave an exercise. No one has responded. What is that exercise? How to enable the constraint or disable the constraint. Anyone tried that? The way we call it from Abap report is different, so forget about that. So my requirement is I am able to create the procedure. Means HANA database supports what? In-out parameter. It's working fine. I am able to create the procedure. But when I'm trying to call it from the SQL console, how do you pass that? How do you call it? That is what is the question. Yes, anyone? We are changing parameters in our function models also. Similar to the changing parameter, here we have what? Input parameter. So how do you pass? Anyone? What are the necessary changes I need to do? Ashutosh, are you speaking? Your voice is not audible to me. If you are speaking, your voice is not audible. I don't know what is the problem. Are you speaking, Ashutosh? Yes, Rambabu. We have to mention input while calling also. Yeah, we have to mention no, no. Are you mentioning? Are you mentioning anything like in or out at the time of calling in other cases? No, no. Just it will have the intelligence. It will have the intelligence. Which one it should take it as input parameter, which one it should take it as output parameter. So here, okay, your sentence is partly correct, but that is when you're doing it from the when you're consuming that procedure from what Abap report. But I want to do it from SQL console. If I do like this, it is giving another signal y is not bound. If I try to bind, suppose here I'll say y implies, I'll say something 12, obviously I'm getting an error. When I say fate, I got another expression cannot be used as an assignment target. Yes, anyone. If you know Oracle PLSQL, you should be able to tell. No answers? Okay, I'll do one thing. Let us not focus on this one. Do one thing. You try to call this procedure. You try to call this procedure from another procedure. In the sense, we can call a subroutine from another subroutine, or we can call a function model from another function model, or we can call a function model inside the subroutine definition. Similarly, you try to call this procedure from another procedure and then try to do that. We should get it. I'm unable to do it from the SQL console. You try to call this procedure from another procedure. Can we call? There also we have to use the same syntax. Call so and so. Suppose here, one second. I'll say procedure 11. I'll not pass any parameter. Done. Here, I'll try to use the call statement. Call. I'll call a simple procedure. Say I. Say I. Done. Let me check whether this syntax is supported or not. F8. What happened? The procedure is successfully created. Now what I'll do? I'll say call what? Procedure 11. Call procedure 11. Any of procedure 11 doesn't have any parameter. Okay, so when I call this procedure 11, inside this procedure definition, we are trying to call what? Another procedure what? Say I. So when I execute, when I say F8, yeah, what happened here? Procedure 11 we are calling. Procedure 11 is calling what? Say I. What is that say I has to do? Yes, what is that say I has to do? Where is that say I? Say I has to return me some output. Na? I am not getting that output. So what we need to do? Anyone? If you are able to tell this, we will get the other one also. Anyone? Yes, anyone? I am able to create the procedure. So what is the meaning? I can call a procedure from another procedure. But when I call this procedure 11, internet will call what? Say I. But say I is returning me some result. But I'm not getting that. So can anyone tell me what to do? Think, think, think. I want the answers from you. I'm executing once again. When I say F8, it is successfully called, successfully executed, but I am not getting the result. So can anyone tell me how to do it? I want that result. What is that? The CI is saying what? Welcome to what? HANA procedures. I want that result. Yes, anyone? Vijay, Ramba, load the call data into the local internal. Load the called data. Okay, so Sandeep, what you are saying is you want to capture the output of CI inside a variable, right? That's what you're saying, no? Okay. Yes, okay. I'll do one thing. Let me create a new procedure. I'll not disturb that. Create procedure with procedure 12. Okay, so as per your thing, like this you are saying, itab equal to call CI. Okay, right. So then here I'll say select star from what? Select star from what? Itab. Select star from itab. Let's see what happens. When I say F8, I got an error. I got an error. What is that? Incorrect syntax near line 4, column 14. Here I got the error. I got the error here. Not working, Sandeep. What to do? I got there are incorrect syntax near so and so line 4, column 14. Means the problem is here only. Yes, anyone. See, every time we will never call the procedure from the SQL console. Remember, always we'll try to call a procedure from another procedure, or we'll try to consume the procedure from what Abap report. This is only for understanding. So far, I'm calling the procedure from SQL console, but I should able to call one procedure from another procedure. But when I'm trying to call it is working fine, but I'm not getting the result. So as Sandeep said, I captured that in some variable, okay, but I'm getting an error in that line only saying that line 4 column 4 incorrect syntax near so and so. Hmm? I'll try to use this column. Let's see what happens when I say fit. Again, I got this error. I'll do one thing. 1 second, please. 1 second. Mm, not this one. Not this one. Okay, I have not created that. I have not created that. Fine. Yes, can anyone tell me how to do it? I'll give a clue. If you do like this, what is the meaning of this is this procedure is having one output parameter. Is having one output parameter, and that output parameter is captured in what item. This syntax is very much supported in C, C++, Java. In C, C++, Java, a function or method can return only one value. So to receive that only value, I can use this syntax. But in this context, this procedure doesn't have any output parameter, first of all. It doesn't have any parameters. So it will understand this as a kind of output parameter. That's why it is giving the error. So what is the alternative I can do? Can I show one more thing here? 1 second. 1 second. Vijay, what is that your solution? For the in-out error, I think we can assign the value of in-out variable to another in variable, then display it. No, how can you assign it to another in variable? Input parameter means always we use it for passing. Na? Again, we don't use it for what? Storing the result. If you want the dual task only, you'll go for what? Input output parameter. Vijay, we cannot assign the value of input output variable to another invariable. Input parameter means we can only use it for passing. I cannot use it for storing any result. But again, if you are using another variable, it doesn't make sense in going for input output. Assign it to one dummy variable for storing. But again, that will not what meet our requirement now. What is the purpose of in-out variable, in-out parameter? The same variable, I must use it for what? Passing the value as well as for returning the value. If you are saying that you assign it to another variable, then why I have to go for in-out parameter? I can go for a normal output parameter, and then I can use it now. The purpose of changing parameter is what in function models, the same variable I can use it for what? Passing as well as what? Returning. What you said is fine, but again, it doesn't make sense in going for in-out parameter. You are saying that you want to store that calculation inside another variable and then we have to print it. Again, it becomes a normal output parameter. My requirement is I want to use the same variable for passing the value as well as returning the value. Okay, think on that lines. Think on that lines. I want to show you. Yeah, let me pause this. Accent procedure 4. Na? Yeah, I'll do one thing here. I'll say. So this is giving me error. So I'll say here procedure 12 only. I'll say like this. Call. What is this procedure 4? I'll say 10 comma 20. Try to understand. I'm trying to create the procedure 12. This time I'm trying to call the procedure 4, which has got what? Two parameters 10 and 20. Okay, let me execute this F8. What happened? The procedure is successfully created. I'll try to, what is the procedure 4 is doing? If you go up, yeah, what is the procedure 4 is doing here? Yeah, if you observe this, procedure 4 is taking two parameters. Here I'm storing the result in a variable. I'm trying to print that variable. So I want to check whether that result I'm getting here or not when I call the procedure 12. So here I'll say procedure, call procedure what 12. I don't have any parameters done. Let me execute. I'll say F8. Yeah, here also same story. Here also same story. What is happening? We are calling the procedure. The control will go inside the procedure. I'm calling this procedure 10, 20 again you are passing. So first of all, if you debug only will understand. If you debug only will understand, but I cannot do the debugging here. I cannot do the debugging here. Tomorrow what we'll do is we'll see the standard way, or we'll try to create the procedure in a different place so that there we can do the debugging. Here what is happening is we are able to call. I'm not sure whether it is going here or it is calling. It will go, but when it goes to procedure 4, okay, when it goes to procedure 4 what it is doing, it is doing the calculation, storing the result in a variable, and we are printing that variable, but we are not getting this output. We are not getting this output. So we need to think of how to receive that particular output. I am able to call a procedure from another procedure, but we are not getting the desired result. So we'll address this issue tomorrow. Then we'll get the solution for what in out also. But if you have time, you also try it. Forget about that in out. Anyhow, I'll cover that in the coming sessions. Okay. First focus on this part. If you understand this one, we'll understand that in out also. We are able to create the procedure, we are able to call the procedure, but what are the output generated by what procedure 4 we are unable to see. I'll just give a clue. In our Abap we have import, export and submit. Okay, so try to understand this. Assume that we have program 1, we have program 2. Try to understand program 1 and program 2. In program 1, I'll just use this statement, write program 1. Okay. In program 2, here I'll say write program 2. Try to understand. And inside the program 1, I'll say submit program 2 and return. Submit program 2 and return. One second. Yeah. Submit program 2 and return. I'll say write end of program 1. Yeah. Now, so we have two different programs, program 1 and what program 2. Program 1 and program 2. Okay, done. Now assume that I'll execute what program 1. So can anyone tell me what is the output? Can anyone tell me what is the output? If you're able to answer this, we may get the solution for this. What is the output if I execute the program 1? Output. We have two different programs, program 1 and what program 2. Both are in active state. I'm executing program 1. What is the output I would get? Yes, what is the output you'll get? Yes, anyone. Ashutosh, Sandeep, Kishore, Sinha, Rambabu, Vijay. What is the purpose of submit keyword? To call a program from another program. So when I execute this, the output I'll get it as what program 1, and here I'll get the output as what end of program 1. But if you debug, what happens is, first, in case of debugging, first when you're executing the program 1, it will execute this write statement. What is the output I'll get? Program 1. Now we are shifting the control to what program 2. In the program 2, we have the write statement. So what happens is, one more LPS screen gets generated. Means at the background, it will show you this output program 2. After executing this program 2, control comes back to the calling program, and here it will show the output as what? End of program 1. Means if you don't debug, if you directly execute, you will see the output as what? Program 1 and end of program 1. So we'll have a feeling that output is generated only by the calling program. But when you debug, in the debugging mode, we can also see the output of what? The called program. What is the called program here? Program 2. So why I am discussing this is, here the calling program is what? Procedure 12. The called procedure is what? Procedure 4. So procedure 4 is generating some output. Okay, but that output I am unable to see because internally it has generated some output internally. Okay, after generating the output, control will come back to the next statement. Next statement I'm having this one. Okay, okay, I'll put it in another way also. One second, please. Procedure 13. Procedure 13. I'll say here select allow from what? Dummy. Okay, let me try to call this. Let me execute this. Procedure got created. Okay, I'll try to call this. What is it? Call what? Procedure 13. Let me execute this F8. Yes, what I got? Allow. Yes, absolutely fine. Whatever I told is absolutely fine. What I'm getting here, allow, means I got the output generated by the calling procedure. What is the calling procedure? Procedure 13. But I'm not able to see the output generated by procedure 4. Same thing I discussed here also. No? Understood? If you execute the program one, we'll get this one. But if you debug internally, it will generate the output of program 2 also in a separate session. Here also same story. What is happening is I'm able to view the output generated by the calling program, that is allow, but I'm not getting the output of what? Called program. So keeping this in mind, we'll extend our discussion tomorrow. Okay, in that only we'll get the solution for what? This in out also. Am I clear to everyone? This one also. So it will be executed. What is happening here is it will execute, it will generate some output at the background, and the control comes back to the next statement. Next statement is what? Here select so and so. So my calling procedure also is generating some output. That output only I'm able to see. I'm unable to see the output generated by what? The called program. So we need to debug the procedure, then we'll understand. So how to debug means I cannot debug it here. There is a separate editor for that. We'll be discussing that in the coming session. Then we'll get the solution for it in out also. Am I clear? So today just we understood about input parameter, output. In out you forget because we are unable to call it from the SQL console, but I should able to call it from the other procedure, but in a different way. We'll see that. And then what we understood, by default the parameter category is what? Input parameter. Another, the most important point is, in this hana database, output parameters are always mandatory. In the sense, if a procedure is having any output parameter, compulsory we have to receive it. But if you take our Abap function models, export parameters are always optional. If you are interested, we can import, otherwise we can ignore. But whereas here, compulsory we have to receive it. Another point is, in C++, Java, a block can return only one value. That is done by using return keyword. But in case of hana procedures, a procedure can have any number of what? Return values. Going forward, we will see something called as functions. Yeah, here you can see we have functions. The only difference between procedure and function is a function can return only one value, but a procedure can return n number of values. We'll discuss that later on. We'll see that function later on, but for next 3 days, we'll be seeing procedures only. We'll be seeing the standard way of creating the procedure so that we can call it from what? Abap report. Done. Again, I'm reminding that query, how to enable the constraint, disable the constraint. Let me know if you're able to do. Okay, input output parameter, I'll resolve it because I'm not yet discussed the debugging part. When we come to that, we'll think about that input output, but try to do that exercise. How to enable the constraint, disable the constraint. Anyone tried, to be fair? Anyone tried how to enable or disable the constraint? try it. Why I gave that the next, why I'm asking is, it is very much possible to enable or disable the constraint in another data, another other databases. But in HANA database, okay, you tried. I don't want to comment at this stage. In HANA database, I tried many syntaxes. It is giving an error. So if you are able to do it practically, let me know how to enable the constraint, how to disable the, just like last class we are able to enable or disable the triggers. Same thing should be applied for what? Constraints also, and very much supported in Oracle, MySQL and SQL Server. But in HANA database, I tried with many syntaxes, but nowhere they mentioned about this enabling and disable is not working. If you get any inputs, let me know, because that is very important. Done. Any question before I wind off here, except that input output? Okay, then. So I'll wind off. Tomorrow we'll see how to make use of cursors inside the procedure, and there only we'll try to cover what table types, and there only we may get an opportunity to use what in-out parameter. Okay, so the actual procedures I'll start from tomorrow only. Today just we understood this syntax. Okay, the real-time scenarios will be starting from tomorrow only. Okay, I'll start it from tomorrow. Okay, chalo then. If you don't have any questions, I'll wind off. Chalo.